"Your husband's card has been declined," said the voice on the phone. "He's demanding we contact you immediately." I almost dropped my coffee mug. The resort manager from Cancun was calling me at 7 a.m. on a Tuesday. The same Tuesday I'd discovered our joint accounts drained to zero. The same Tuesday I learned my husband of 12 years had fled the country with his secretary. "Mrs. Parker, are you still there?" My name is Emma Parker. 3 days ago, I had a husband, a home, and a future. Now I had nothing but a voice on the phone telling me David was stranded in paradise with his mistress. "Yes," I finally managed. "I'm here. Mr. Parker insists there's been a mistake with your accounts." I gripped the phone tighter. "There's definitely been a mistake, but not with the accounts. I met David Parker 15 years ago at Morton Financial, where I'd worked since college. I was the company's top-performing account manager. He was the charming new marketing director with perfect teeth and tailored suits. Everyone warned me about his reputation. I didn't listen. We married after a whirlwind romance. I believed we were perfect together. David was ambitious, driven, and could make anyone laugh. I was organized, loyal, and grounded. We balanced each other. For 12 years, I built our life while he built his career. I managed our finances, renovated our home, and kept everything running smoothly. David climbed the corporate ladder, eventually becoming VP of Marketing. Last year, Morton Financial hired Jessica Reeves as David's executive assistant. 26, gorgeous, ambitious. I noticed small changes: late nights at the office, weekend emergency meetings, new cologne, password changes on his phone. Classic signs. I ignored them all. Until last Monday, when I found a receipt in his suit pocket. 2 first-class tickets to Cancun. Departure: Tuesday morning. My name wasn't on either ticket. When confronted, David laughed it off. "Client trip. Last-minute thing. Too boring for you." I pretended to believe him. But that night, I checked our accounts. Everything looked normal. Our savings, investments, checking account, all intact. I felt foolish for suspecting him. Then Tuesday morning came. I woke up alone. David's side of the bed was empty, his suitcase gone. A text message waited on my phone. "Need space to think. Don't try to contact me." Something felt wrong, very wrong. I logged into our bank accounts. The balances read zero. All of them. Our retirement fund, gone. Our savings, emptied. Even my personal checking account, the one with my salary from the job I'd recently quit at David's urging, drained to the last penny. $347,000 vanished overnight. My hands shook as I called the bank. "Withdrawals were made early this morning," the representative explained. "With proper authorization." Of course they were. David had all the passwords, all the access. I'd trusted him completely. I sat at our kitchen table, surrounded by the life we'd built, trying to process what was happening. The house phone rang, jarring me from my shock. It was my best friend, Natalie. "Emma, I just saw something on Instagram. I think you need to see it." She sent me a screenshot. Jessica Reeves, poolside in Cancun, cocktail in hand. Caption: "New beginnings with my love." My husband wasn't on a client trip. He was starting a new life with his secretary, with my money. I threw up in the kitchen sink. The next 24 hours passed in a blur. I called David's phone repeatedly, straight to voicemail. I messaged Jessica on every platform, blocked. I contacted David's parents, his friends, anyone who might know something. No one had answers, or if they did, they weren't sharing. I barely slept. How could I? I had no money for next month's mortgage, no savings to fall back on, nothing. By Wednesday morning, rage replaced shock. I marched into Morton Financial, straight to the CEO's office. Richard Morton had been my boss for years before I resigned. He owed me at least a conversation. "Emma," he said, genuine concern on his face. What's happened?" I told him everything. The affair, the money, the abandonment. "David called in yesterday," Richard said. "Claimed a family emergency. Said he needed 2 weeks off." He shook his head. "Jessica did the same." They're in Cancun, I said flatly. With every penny we had. Richard's expression hardened. That money? Was it all yours? Most of it came from my salary. I was the higher earner until last year. Richard picked up his phone. Get me legal now. Within an hour, Morton Financial's legal team was building a case. David had violated company policies, ethics clauses, possibly laws. We can help you, Richard assured me. But recovering your money, that's complicated. I left with a temporary position back at the company and an appointment with a divorce attorney. Small victories that did nothing to fill my empty bank accounts. Thursday morning brought the call from Cancun. Your husband's card has been declined, the resort manager explained. He's used 3 different cards now, all declined. A cold satisfaction spread through me. The credit cards. In my shock about the bank accounts, I'd forgotten about our joint credit cards. I'd called and reported them stolen yesterday. Mr. Parker is quite insistent that you've made a mistake, the manager continued. He's demanding we contact you to resolve this issue. I closed my eyes, picturing David and Jessica stranded at a luxury resort with no money, no way home. The perfect paradise turned prison. Mrs. Parker, what would you like us to do? I thought carefully before answering. Tell my husband. I paused, savoring the moment. Tell him I received his message about needing space. I'm giving him exactly what he asked for. The manager cleared his throat. I see. And regarding their outstanding balance of $7,340. That's my husband's problem now. After hanging up, I sat in the empty house, a plan forming. David thought he'd broken me. He was wrong. This wasn't just about money anymore. This was about justice. By Friday morning, I'd moved into Natalie's spare bedroom. I couldn't afford our mortgage, and staying in that house filled with memories was torture. You need a lawyer, Natalie insisted over breakfast. A shark. Already on it, I replied, showing her my phone. Meeting with Diane Winters this afternoon. They say she's the best divorce attorney in the state. Good. Take him for everything. I shook my head. I just want what's mine, Nat. I'm not like him. My phone buzzed with an unknown international number. David, finally calling from Cancun. I let it go to voicemail. His message came through a minute later. Emma, this isn't funny anymore. They're threatening to call the police. I know you're upset, but this is ridiculous. Transfer some money immediately or... I deleted it before he could finish. Let him squirm. 3 more calls came while I got ready for work. I ignored them all. At Morton Financial, I found a surprise waiting. Richard had assigned me to the fraud investigation department temporarily. My first case? My own husband. We've frozen his corporate accounts and access, Richard explained. But we found something concerning. He slid a folder across the desk. David's been siphoning company funds for months, small amounts from various marketing budgets. I stared at the evidence. Falsified expense reports, padded vendor contracts, kickbacks. How much? I asked, my voice barely audible. Nearly $180,000. The room spun. This wasn't just about our personal accounts anymore. David had committed corporate fraud. The company will press charges, Richard said gently. But you need to know what you're dealing with. I nodded numbly. Thank you. As I left Richard's office, my phone buzzed again. Another international number, but not David's. A text message. This is Jessica. David abandoned me at the resort. He took my passport. Please help. The meeting with Diane Winters was exactly what I needed. Direct, no nonsense, and brutally honest. You have a strong case for financial fraud, she said, reviewing my documents. But recovering the money won't be easy if it's already been moved offshore. What about the corporate theft? That strengthens your position, shows pattern of behavior. She made notes in her legal pad. Has he contacted you? Multiple times. I haven't responded. Gih. She nodded approvingly. Good. Let him panic. When did you last speak? Tuesday morning, before I discovered everything. And the girlfriend? Any contact? I showed her Jessica's text. Diane's eyebrows rose. Interesting development. She could be a valuable witness. She tapped her pen thoughtfully. Or it could be a trap. Don't respond yet. I left Diane's office with a strategy. File for divorce immediately. Freeze any remaining assets. Document everything. And most importantly, let David dig his own grave. That evening, another voicemail from David. Emma, please. I'm sorry. I made a terrible mistake. Jessica's gone. The hotel's threatening to call Mexican authorities. I need your help. For the first time in days, I smiled. The weekend passed slowly. I stayed with Natalie, trying to piece together my new reality. David's calls became increasingly desperate. They've taken my passport until I pay the bill. Emma, this isn't a game. I could go to jail here. Please, just answer your phone. Each message fed something dark inside me. A part I didn't recognize. A part that enjoyed his suffering. On Sunday night, I received an email from Jessica Reeves. Emma, I know you hate me, and you have every right to, but you should know the truth. David planned this for months. He told me you were separating, that you'd agreed to divide assets. I believed him. When we arrived in Cancun, he was different. Controlling. Angry. When the cards were declined, he blamed you, said you were being vindictive. Then he left me at the resort with no money, no passport, nothing. I had to call my parents to wire money for my flight home. I know an apology means nothing, but I'm sorry. I didn't know who he really was. Attached were screenshots of text messages between them, dating back months. David's manipulations laid bare. His promises to Jessica, his plans for the money, and something else. Evidence he'd been embezzling from Morton Financial longer than anyone realized. I forwarded everything to Diane and Richard. Monday morning brought new developments. The resort in Cancun had indeed contacted authorities. David had been detained for questioning about his unpaid bill and Jessica's allegations of theft. Richard called me to his office as soon as I arrived at work. The evidence Jessica provided is damning, he said. We've contacted the FBI. This crosses state lines, possibly international boundaries. My stomach dropped. FBI? Financial crimes of this magnitude are federal offenses, Emma. This is serious. I sat in stunned silence. I'd wanted justice, but this was escalating beyond anything I'd imagined. There's more, Richard continued. Our investigation uncovered offshore accounts. Some of your money might be recoverable. A small ray of hope. How much? We're still tracing it, but at least 200,000. Tears filled my eyes. Not everything, but enough to restart my life. As I left Richard's office, my phone rang. Another international number. This time, I answered. Emma? David's voice sounded small, frightened. Thank God. You have to help me. They're saying I could face charges here, and now the company is making accusations. Stop, I said firmly. Just stop, David. Emma, please. You stole from me. You stole from the company. You manipulated Jessica and abandoned her in a foreign country. I was coming back for you, he tried. This was just... I needed time to think, to sort things out. With $347,000 of our money? Silence. The FBI is involved now, I continued. This isn't just about us anymore. I heard him inhale sharply. You contacted the FBI? Your own husband? Ex-husband, I corrected. The divorce papers were filed Friday. Emma, you can't do this. We can work this out. I'll come home, return the money. It's too late, David. You made your choices. What do you want from me? Desperation cracked his voice. I thought about it for a moment. The truth, for once. More silence. Then, I was scared. Of what? Losing everything. The company was investigating discrepancies. I needed to disappear before they found out. So you stole our savings? My savings? I panicked. Jessica knew too much. I had to bring her along. And then you abandoned her too. He had no answer for that. Goodbye, David. Emma, wait. I hung up. Tuesday marked 1 week since my world collapsed. I woke in Natalie's spare room, checking my phone automatically. A text from Richard. David being deported today. FBI will take custody at airport. Reality hit me anew. My husband was coming home in handcuffs. At work, the news had spread. Colleagues offered sympathetic glances and awkward support. I kept my head high, focusing on the task at hand, tracing David's financial web. By lunchtime, we'd located another account. More of my money hidden in plain sight. Diane called with updates. The courts have frozen everything we've found so far. With the criminal charges pending, your divorce will be complicated, but strongly in your favor. I thanked her and hung up, feeling hollow despite the victories. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Emma, it's Jessica. I'm back in the country. The FBI wants to interview me tomorrow. I'll tell them everything. I'm so sorry for my part in this. I stared at her message, unsure how to feel. She'd been both victim and accomplice. After a moment, I replied, "Thank you for coming forward." It wasn't forgiveness, but it was something. The next few weeks passed in a blur of legal meetings, FBI interviews, and rebuilding my life piece by piece. David was denied bail, considered a flight risk. The evidence against him mounted daily. Corporate theft, wire fraud, tax evasion. The list grew longer as investigators dug deeper. Jessica cooperated fully, receiving immunity in exchange for her testimony. We met once, briefly, in Diane's office. She couldn't look me in the eye. "I never meant to hurt you," she whispered. "But you did," I replied simply. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I know." By month's end, we'd recovered nearly $280,000 of my money. Not everything, but enough. I found a small apartment, opened new accounts at a different bank, and slowly reclaimed my independence. Morton Financial offered me my old position permanently, with a raise. Life was moving forward. 6 months later, I sat in a courtroom watching David plead guilty to multiple felony charges. Our divorce had been finalized weeks earlier, with the court awarding me everything we'd recovered plus our house. He looked smaller somehow, diminished. When he turned to glance at the gallery, our eyes met briefly. I saw shame there, perhaps regret. I felt nothing. Outside the courthouse, reporters asked how it felt to see justice served. "This isn't about justice," I told them. "It's about consequences. We all face them eventually." That evening, I received a letter from prison, David's handwriting on the envelope. I considered throwing it away unopened. Instead, I read it. "Emma, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But you deserve the truth. I was never worthy of you. The money, the lies, Jessica, they were all symptoms of my own weakness. I couldn't face myself, so I destroyed us instead. I'm sorry. Not that it matters now. I hope someday you find happiness again. You deserve that much, at least. David." I folded the letter and put it away. Not to keep, but to remind myself how easily trust can be broken. 1 year after that fateful Tuesday morning, I stood on the beach in Bali. Not Cancun. I'd never go there. This trip was paid for with my own money, earned through my promotion to senior risk manager at Morton Financial. Diane had called yesterday with news. The last of David's hidden accounts had been found. The final piece of my stolen life recovered. I watched the sunset over the ocean, thinking about the woman I'd been a year ago, trusting, naive, broken. The woman who answered the phone to hear, "Your husband's card has been declined." That woman was gone. In her place stood someone stronger, someone wiser. My phone buzzed with a text from Natalie. "How's paradise?" I smiled and typed back, "Better when you earn it yourself." I slipped the phone back into my pocket and walked along the shore, leaving footprints that the tide would soon wash away, just like the past. Some endings are really beginnings in disguise.